The attack began without warning. Harin was checking the mining equipment when the first explosion shook the colony. She grabbed the nearest wall to steady herself as dust fell from the ceiling. The emergency lights flashed red, and the alarm wailed through the corridors. All personnel to emergency stations, the automated system announced. This is not a drill, Harin ran. Her boots echoed on the metal floors as she raced toward the control center. Other colonists rushed past her, faces tight with fear. Through the few windows she passed, she could see bright flashes in the sky above Proxima B. The control center doors slid open. Inside, chaos reigned. Report, Jinha shouted over the noise. As head of security, he stood tall despite the panic around him. His uniform was perfectly buttoned, but his eyes betrayed his worry. 7 ships in orbit, Quan said from the communication station. His fingers flew across the controls. They're not responding to hails. Their design matches nothing in our database. Another explosion rocked the colony. The lights flickered. Shields holding at 87%, a technician called out. Harin moved to her station at the engineering console. The shield generator readings flashed warnings at her. The main generator is overheating. These shields weren't built for this kind of attack. Jinha nodded grimly. How long will they hold? Harin did a quick calculation. At this rate of bombardment, 5 days, maybe 6. And our distress signal. Quan looked up from his station, broadcasting on all emergency channels. But even at light speed, it will take 4 years to reach Earth. The room fell silent as the truth sank in. They were alone, 4 light years from home with no hope of quick rescue. They're hailing us, Quan suddenly announced. Jinha straightened his back. On screen, the main display flickered to life. The creature that appeared made several colonists gasp. It had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on a face covered with blue-gray scales. Its mouth was framed by small moving tentacles. Human colony, the alien said in surprisingly good English. I am War Commander Vex of the Keldari Dominion. Your presence on this world is unauthorized. Jinha stepped forward. This is Jinha, Chief of Security for the Korean Mining Outpost. We claim this world under Earth authority. Our presence was established 7 years ago. The alien made a clicking sound that might have been laughter. Earth authority means nothing here. The resources of this planet belong to the Keldari now. You have 1 planetary rotation to evacuate. After that, we will destroy your colony. The screen went dark. Can we evacuate? Someone asked. Jinha shook his head. Our transport ships can only hold 1/3 of our people, and they're not fast enough to outrun those warships. We need to fight back, another colonist said. With what? Harin asked. We have a few defense turrets designed to destroy asteroids, not alien warships. Jinha moved to the center of the room. Listen to me. We are not giving up. Quan, keep broadcasting that distress signal. Harin, do everything you can to strengthen those shields. Everyone else, prepare for possible ground assault. We defend this colony until help arrives. And if help doesn't arrive? Quan asked quietly. Jinha met his gaze. Then we make the Keldari pay dearly for every inch of this colony. The next 17 days became a blur of constant alerts, minimal sleep, and dwindling hope. The Keldari bombardment continued without pause. Each day, Harin worked miracles to keep the shields functioning, rerouting power and cooling systems that were never designed for such prolonged stress. On the 5th day, the Keldari sent ground troops. Jinha and the security team fought them off at the North Airlock, losing 3 good people in the process. On the 8th day, the water recycling system failed. They had to ration supplies. On the 12th day, the Keldari tried to hack their computers. Quan stayed awake for 36 hours straight to keep them out. By the 17th day, the shields were failing. Harin hadn't slept in nearly 30 hours. Her hands shook as she adjusted the power flow to the shield generators. How much longer? Jinha asked, his voice hoarse. Dark circles ringed his eyes and a bandage covered a burn on his left arm from the last ground assault. 2 days, maybe less, Harin replied without looking up from her console. The generators were never designed for this kind of attack. Quan entered the control room, his steps heavy with exhaustion. Still no response to our distress signal. It's broadcasting, but he didn't finish. Everyone knew what it meant. Even if Earth heard them, help would take years to arrive. We need to prepare for evacuation, Jinha said quietly. The mining tunnels might shelter some of us, but the facility shook violently as another barrage hit the shields. Warning lights flashed across Harin's console. Shield integrity at 18%, the automated system announced. Critical failure imminent. Harin closed her eyes briefly. When the Keldari had first appeared, demanding the planet's rare minerals, she had believed Earth would somehow save them. Now she knew better. They were alone. "They're hailing us again," Quan said, his face pale in the emergency lighting. Jinha nodded. "Put them through." The alien commander's face filled the screen, tentacles moving, and what they had learned was amusement. "Your shields fail. Your people die. Surrender now, and some may live as workers." Jinha stepped forward. "This colony is under Earth protection. We will not—" "Earth is distant. You are alone," the Keldari interrupted. "You have one planetary rotation to evacuate or be destroyed." The transmission ended. Silence filled the control room. "What do we do?" Quan whispered. Before Jinha could answer, a proximity alarm blared. Harin's hands flew across her console. "Something just appeared at the edge of our sensor range," she said, confusion in her voice. It's massive." Jinha moved to her station. "Keldari reinforcements?" "No," Harin said, staring at the readings in disbelief. "The energy signature is human." The main view screen showed only stars and the looming Keldari ships. Then, as if emerging from the darkness itself, a massive shape appeared. It was a ship, larger than any Earth vessel they had ever seen. Its hull was midnight black, absorbing rather than reflecting light, making it look like a hole cut from space itself. "What is that?" Jinha breathed. Harin checked her readings again. "It's broadcasting an Earth fleet identification signal, but this design, I've never seen anything like it." "They're hailing us," Quan said, his voice trembling with sudden hope. The screen flickered, and a human face appeared, a man with weathered features and eyes that seemed to have seen centuries. "Korean Mining Outpost Proxima. This is Commander Rex of the EFS Retribution," the man said, his voice calm and confident. "We received your distress call. Looks like we arrived just in time." For the first time in 17 days, Harin felt something she had almost forgotten. Hope. The control room fell silent. Every eye was fixed on the screen showing Commander Rex's weathered face. He looked to be in his 50s with short gray hair and deep lines around his eyes. His uniform was black with silver trim, unlike any Earth fleet design the colonists had seen before. "Commander," Jinha finally said, finding his voice, "we're grateful for your arrival, but our distress signal was only sent 17 days ago. Even at the fastest speeds we know, it would take years to reach Earth, let alone for help to arrive." A small smile crossed Commander Rex's face. "A lot has changed since you left Earth, son." Harin couldn't tear her eyes from the tactical display showing the massive human ship. The Retribution was at least 2 kilometers long, with sharp angles and what looked like weapon ports along its hull. It had positioned itself between the colony and the Keldari fleet. "Sir," she said, "your ship? We've never seen anything like it." "I imagine not," Rex replied. "The Retribution is the newest flagship of Earth's defense fleet. First of her kind," Quan leaned forward. "But how did you get here so quickly?" Before Rex could answer, the tactical display flashed red. "The Keldari ships are moving," Harin reported. "They're forming an attack pattern around the Retribution." Commander Rex seemed unconcerned. "Exactly as expected. Stand by, Proxima Colony. Let's deal with your unwelcome visitors first." The screen split to show both Commander Rex and the space battle forming outside. The 7 Keldari ships, each about half the size of the Retribution, spread out to surround the human vessel. "They're charging weapons," Harin said, watching the energy readings spike on her console. "So are we," Commander Rex replied calmly. "Stand by," a new transmission cut in. The Keldari commander appeared, his tentacles writhing in what the colonists had learned was agitation. "Unknown vessel," the alien said. "This territory is claimed by the Keldari Dominion. Withdraw immediately." Commander Rex's expression didn't change. "This is Earth territory. You are attacking Earth citizens. You will power down your weapons and withdraw, or you will be removed." The alien's 4 eyes seemed to narrow. "You are 1 ship. We are 7. Your threat is meaningless, is it?" Rex asked quietly. "You have 10 seconds to comply." The Keldari commander cut the transmission. Jinha gripped the edge of the console. 1 ship against 7, even with advanced technology. A blinding flash filled the viewport, forcing them to shield their eyes. When they looked again, the tactical display showed something impossible. The Keldari flagship was gone. Where it had been, only small pieces of debris remained, spreading outward in a perfect sphere. What just happened? Jinha asked, staring at the display. Harin checked her readings. The Retribution fired something. I've never seen energy readings like these. It wasn't a normal weapon. On screen, Commander Rex remained calm. That was a gravitational collapse projector. One of our less destructive options. He glanced at something off screen. The remaining Keldari vessels are repositioning. Stand by. The colony's sensors showed the alien ships breaking formation, trying to surround the human warship. Energy readings spiked as they prepared to fire. They're going to hit the Retribution from all sides, Quan said, worry in his voice. Jinha watched, heart pounding, as the Keldari opened fire. Brilliant energy beams converged on the human vessel and passed through it as if it weren't there. What the? Jinha began. Phase shifting, Commander Rex explained, his image flickering slightly. Useful technology. Now, if you'll excuse me for a moment. The Retribution seemed to blur, and suddenly it was behind the Keldari formation. Before the alien ships could react, pulses of blue energy erupted from the human warship's sides. 2 more Keldari vessels shuddered and went dark, drifting powerless. He's disabled their systems rather than destroying them, Harin observed, watching her sensor readings. The remaining 4 Keldari ships tried to scatter, but the Retribution moved with impossible speed, appearing and disappearing across the battlefield like a ghost. That's not normal propulsion, Harin whispered. They're moving through space in a way I've never seen before. Within minutes, all 7 Keldari vessels were either destroyed or disabled, floating harmlessly in space. The Retribution took position above the colony, its massive form blocking out the stars. Proxima Outpost, the threat has been neutralized, Commander Rex reported. We're sending a shuttle down with supplies and a team to repair your shields. Prepare for visitors. As the transmission ended, Jinha turned to his colleagues, seeing his own shock reflected in their faces. What just happened? Quan asked quietly. Harin shook her head. I think we just witnessed what humanity has become while we've been out here on the frontier. An hour later, they stood at the colony's landing pad, watching as a sleek black shuttle descended from the Retribution. Unlike the bulky transport ships they were familiar with, this craft moved with silent grace, touching down with barely a sound. The landing ramp extended, and 6 figures emerged. 5 wore the same black uniforms as Commander Rex, while 1 was dressed in civilian clothes. They walked with the confidence of people who had never known the fear that had gripped the colony for the past 17 days. Jinha stepped forward as the group approached. Welcome to Proxima Mining Outpost. I'm Jinha, Chief of Security. A tall man with short brown hair nodded. Lieutenant Jake Morrison, First Officer of the Retribution. Commander Rex sends his regards. He gestured to his companions. This is our technical team and our xenobiologist, Dr. Lisa Park. The woman in civilian clothes stepped forward with a warm smile. She appeared to be in her 30s with long black hair tied back in a practical ponytail. I understand you've been isolated out here for some time. You probably have questions. More than I can count, Jinha admitted. Starting with how you received our distress call and arrived so quickly. Jake and Lisa exchanged glances. Let's get inside, Jake suggested. It's a long story and one best told sitting down. As they walked toward the colony's main building, Harin fell into step beside Lisa. Your ship? The way it moved during the battle. That's not possible with any propulsion system I know, Lisa smiled. The Retribution doesn't use conventional propulsion for combat maneuvers. It uses what we call point shift technology. What's that? Simply put, we don't move the ship through space. We move space around the ship. Harin stopped walking. That would require manipulation of the fabric of space-time itself, Lisa finished for her. Yes, like I said, a lot has changed. In the colony's conference room, the visitors from the Retribution set up a holographic projector. As colonists gathered around, Jake activated it, showing a 3-dimensional image of Earth and its surrounding space. To understand how we got here so quickly, Jake began. You need to understand what's happened since you established this colony 7 years ago. For us, it's been 7 years, Jinha said. How long has it been for Earth? Jake's expression grew serious. That's the first thing you need to know. Due to the nature of our new propulsion systems and some relativistic effects we're still studying. For Earth, it's been 43 years since this colony was established. A shocked murmur ran through the gathered colonists. 43 years? Quan whispered. But our communications with Earth were being received and answered, Lisa explained gently. But while you experienced 7 years, Earth experienced much more. Time doesn't flow the same way it used to. Not since we learned to bend it. Harin felt dizzy. So everything we know, everyone we left behind, is either very old or gone, Jake confirmed, his voice softening. I'm sorry. But humanity has built something amazing in those years. Something worth seeing. He expanded the hologram, showing dozens of star systems. We're not just on Earth anymore. We've spread to 17 star systems. We've made contact with 11 non-hostile alien civilizations. And the Keldari? Jinha asked. Jake's expression hardened. They've been expanding aggressively for 15 years, conquering less advanced species. This is the 3rd time they've tested our borders. Harin stared at the hologram, trying to process everything. All this happened while we were just mining ore and sending reports. Reports that helped us develop the very technology that brought us here today, Lisa said. The elements you've been mining are crucial components in our new drive systems. That's why the Keldari wanted this planet. Jinha looked at Jake. So what happens now? Now, Jake said with a smile, we bring you up to speed. You're not alone anymore, and you never will be again. Night fell over the colony as Jake and his team continued their explanation. The hologram in the center of the conference room now showed the retribution in detail, rotating slowly so the colonists could see every angle of the massive warship. The retribution is what we call a Defender-class vessel, Jake explained. It carries a crew of 800 and can operate independently for up to 5 years without resupply. Harin studied the ship's design with growing wonder. Those aren't normal engines at the back. Good eye. Jake nodded. Those are fold drive generators. They create temporary tunnels through space-time. We don't travel through space anymore, we fold it and step through. Like making a shortcut, Lisa added, seeing the confusion on some faces. Imagine space as a piece of paper. Instead of traveling across the paper, we fold it so 2 distant points touch, then cross directly. Jinha leaned forward.
And that's how you reached us so quickly?
Exactly, Jake said. When your distress signal reached Earth, the Retribution was already patrolling the outer colonies. We received orders, created a fold point, and arrived here. What about the weapons you used? Quan asked. The way you destroyed that first Keldari ship? Jake's expression grew serious. The gravitational collapse projector. It creates a temporary controlled singularity, what you might call a small black hole. It exists for less than a second, but that's enough to crush anything caught in its center. A heavy silence fell over the room. And the phase shifting? Harin asked. When their weapons passed right through your ship? We briefly shift the Retribution partially out of normal space, Lisa explained. The ship exists in 2 places at once, here and in what we call subspace. Energy weapons pass through because we're not fully in their path. Jinha shook his head in amazement. This technology, it's beyond anything we imagined possible. Humanity has changed, Jake said quietly. When we discovered we weren't alone in the universe, something awakened in us. A drive to survive, to protect ourselves. And the Keldari? Jinha asked. What will happen to them now? The disabled ships will be towed to a neutral zone, Jake replied. Their crews will be returned to Keldari space with a warning. The Keldari Dominion needs to understand that Earth territories are not easy targets. A sudden alarm blared from Jake's wrist device. He checked it, his expression instantly changing. What is it? Jinha asked. Keldari reinforcements, Jake said, standing quickly. A lot of them. They must have called for help when they first engaged you. The room erupted in panic. After 17 days of bombardment and the miracle of rescue, the thought of facing more Keldari ships was too much for many colonists. How many ships? Harin asked, trying to stay calm. Jake's face was grim. 23 vessels, including 3 dreadnoughts. Can the Retribution handle that many? Jinha asked. Not alone, Jake admitted. But we're not alone. He tapped his wrist device. Commander Rex, are you seeing this? The commander's voice came through clearly. We are, Lieutenant. The fold points are already opening. Tell the colonists not to worry. Jake looked up at the frightened faces around him. Everyone please remain calm. I suggest we move to the observation dome. You'll want to see this. 5 minutes later, they stood in the colony's large glass dome that offered a clear view of the night sky. Already they could see the approaching Keldari fleet. small points of light growing larger as they neared Proxima b. "There are so many," Quan whispered. "Keep watching," Jake said, checking his device again. 3, 2, 1. The space above them suddenly rippled as if the fabric of reality itself was being disturbed. Then one by one, massive ships began to appear, each materializing from what looked like tears in the darkness of space. "Earth Fleet Battle Group 7, Jake announced with pride. 5 Defender-class warships, 8 Sentinel-class cruisers, and 12 Raptor-class fast attack vessels. The colonists watched in awe as the human fleet formed up around the Retribution. Each ship was black like the Retribution, with the same angular predatory design. Together, they created a wall of human technology between the colony and the approaching Keldari. "I've never seen so many Earth ships," Harin said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Because they didn't exist when you left Earth," Lisa explained. "This is the new face of humanity." The Keldari fleet slowed as they approached, clearly surprised by the sudden appearance of so many human warships. "They're hailing the Retribution," Jake reported, listening to updates through his earpiece. On the far side of the dome, a large screen activated showing Commander Rex on the bridge of the Retribution. Beside him stood a stern-looking woman with short gray hair. "Colonists of Proxima b," Rex said. "This is Admiral Sarah of Earth Fleet Command. She's taken personal command of this operation." The Admiral nodded. "Citizens of Proxima, rest assured that you are now under the full protection of Earth. The Keldari will not threaten you again." The screen split to show the Keldari commander, a different one this time, with darker scales and more elaborate markings around his 4 eyes. "This is High Commander Trell of the Keldari Dominion," the alien said. "Your presence in this system violates Keldari territorial claims. Withdraw immediately or face destruction." Admiral Sarah's expression didn't change. "This system is Earth territory, established years before any Keldari claim. Your forces have attacked Earth citizens. You will withdraw immediately or you will be removed." The Keldari commander's tentacles writhed angrily. "You underestimate the might of the Dominion. This fleet will crush your ships and take this world." "You misunderstand," Sarah replied calmly. "This is not a negotiation. It is a courtesy notice. You have 5 minutes to begin withdrawal." The Keldari cut the transmission. "Will they leave?" Jinha asked Jake. Jake shook his head. "The Keldari don't retreat. It's against their military doctrine. They'll attack. Then all these people will die," Quan said, looking around at the gathered colonists. "No," Jake said firmly. "No one in this colony will die today. That's a promise." Through the dome, they could see the Keldari fleet spreading out, preparing for battle. The Earth ships remained in formation, a solid wall of protection. "They're charging weapons," Jake reported, watching his device. Harin felt her heart racing. Despite the Earth fleet's impressive appearance, the Keldari still outnumbered them. "What happens now?" "Now," Jake said with a small smile, "you see what humanity has become." The Keldari fired first, dozens of energy beams streaking across space toward the Earth ships. But before they could hit, the human vessels shimmered and the beams passed harmlessly through them. "Phase shifting," Harin whispered. "All of them can do it." The Earth fleet's response was swift and coordinated. The smaller Raptor-class ships suddenly vanished, reappearing behind and among the Keldari formation. Blue energy pulses erupted from their weapons, disabling the smaller Keldari vessels instantly. The larger Earth ships focused on the 3 Keldari dreadnoughts. The space around the alien vessels seemed to warp and distort as multiple gravitational weapons fired simultaneously. "They're not trying to destroy them," Jake explained. "Those are localized gravity fields. They're holding the dreadnoughts in place while the Raptors disable their systems." The battle, if it could even be called that, lasted less than 10 minutes. When it ended, the entire Keldari fleet drifted powerless, their weapons and engines disabled by precise strikes from the Earth vessels. "Not a single Earth ship was hit," Harin said in amazement. "Not a single Keldari ship was destroyed," Jinha added, equally impressed. "You disabled them all," Jake nodded. "That's Earth policy now. We don't destroy unless absolutely necessary. It's more effective to show strength through restraint." As they watched, the Earth ships began moving among the disabled Keldari vessels, likely securing them and their crews. "What happens to them now?" Quan asked. "They'll be escorted back to Keldari space," Jake explained, "along with a formal warning from Earth. Attack our colonies again and the response won't be so gentle. Harin looked up at the stars, seeing them differently now. All this time we thought we were alone out here, that no one was coming to help us. That's something the Keldari and others don't understand about humans, Jake said. We never abandon our own. No matter how far you go, how long you're gone, when you call for help, someone will come. Morning came to Proxima B with a new sense of security. The Earth fleet remained in orbit, a protective shield around the colony. The Keldari ships had been towed away during the night, escorted back to their territory by half of the human vessels. In the colony's main hall, Jinha organized a celebration. After 17 days of fear and attack, the colonists needed to release their tension. Tables were filled with food from their stores, and someone had even found musical instruments. Harin stood by a window, watching the retribution hanging in orbit like a guardian angel. She still couldn't believe how quickly everything had changed. From certain death to complete safety in less than a day. Quite a view, isn't it? A voice said behind her. She turned to find Commander Rex himself standing there. In person, he was taller than he had appeared on screen, with a quiet strength in his posture. "Commander," she said, surprised. "I didn't know you were coming down to the colony." Rex smiled. "I wanted to see this place for myself, and to meet the people who held out against the Keldari for 17 days with mining colony shields." "We didn't have much choice," Harin said. "It was fight or die." "That's the human spirit that got us to the stars in the first place," Rex said, looking out at his ship. "The same spirit that drove us to develop the technology that brought us here to help you." Jinha approached, carrying 2 cups. He handed one to Harin and offered the other to Rex. "Commander, it's an honor to have you here." Rex accepted the cup with a nod. "The honor is mine. Your colony's distress call is what finally pushed Earth Command to take a stronger stance against Keldari expansion." "What do you mean?" Jinha asked. Rex took a sip before answering. "For the past few years, Earth has been trying to maintain peace with the Keldari through diplomacy. Some leaders believed we could avoid conflict if we just talked enough. But the Keldari don't want to talk," Harin said. "They want to take." "Exactly," Rex nodded. "When your distress call reached Earth, it proved what some of us had been saying all along. The Keldari respect only strength. They see diplomacy as weakness." Jinha looked thoughtful. "So our colony being attacked actually helped Earth realize the threat?" "Sometimes it takes a crisis to bring clarity," Rex said. "Your stand here may have saved dozens of other colonies from similar attacks." Across the room, Quan was showing Lisa and Jake how the colony's communication system worked. Other crew members from the Retribution mingled with the colonists, sharing stories and technology. "Commander," Harin said hesitantly, "there's something I don't understand. If 43 years have passed on Earth, why did no one warn us about the Keldari before they attacked?" Rex's expression darkened. "Politics. Some factions didn't want to alarm the outer colonies. Others argued you had a right to know. By the time the decision was made to inform everyone, the Keldari were already here. So we were left in the dark," Jinha said, a hint of anger in his voice. "Yes," Rex admitted, "and that was wrong. It's one of the reasons I pushed so hard to lead this rescue mission, to make things right." Before they could continue, Jake approached with a serious expression. "Commander, Admiral Sarah is requesting your presence on the Retribution. The Keldari High Command has sent a message." Rex nodded. "Duty calls. If you'll excuse me." After he left, Jinha and Harin joined the other colonists. The mood was lighter than it had been in weeks, but questions still hung in the air. "What happens to us now?" Quan asked when they sat down with him. "Do we continue mining as if nothing happened?" "I've been thinking about that," Jinha said. "Our whole mission was based on sending resources back to Earth. But the Earth we knew doesn't exist anymore." Lisa, who was sitting nearby, joined their conversation. "Your work is still valuable," she said. "The elements you mine are crucial for our new technologies. But you're right that things have changed." "How so?" Harin asked. "For one thing, you won't be sending ore back on slow transport ships anymore," Lisa explained. "We can create fold points for regular fast shipments. And you'll have proper defenses now." "But is that enough?" Jinha asked. "We came out here to help build humanity's future in space. It seems that future has already arrived without us." Lisa smiled. "Not entirely. There's still so much to do. The galaxy is vast, and humanity is still taking its first steps into it." "What about our families back on Earth?" Quan asked quietly. 43 years. Many of them must be gone. A somber mood fell over the group. This was the question many had been afraid to ask. Some will be, Lisa acknowledged gently, but not all. Medical technology has advanced too. The average human lifespan is now well over 120 years. Really? Harin asked, hope rising in her voice. Really, Lisa confirmed. And we've brought a communication system that will allow you to contact Earth directly, without the 4-year delay. You can speak with your families in real time. The news spread quickly through the hall, bringing both joy and anxiety. After years of sending messages that took years to reach home, the thought of instant communication was both wonderful and frightening. Later that afternoon, a shuttle arrived from the Retribution carrying equipment and more personnel. Among them was a tall, serious-looking man who introduced himself as Chief Engineer Quan, no relation, he joked when he met the colony's communications officer of the same name. The engineer brought with him a device unlike anything the colonists had seen before. It was about the size of a small car with a smooth, curved surface that seemed to shift colors as they watched. This is a quantum entanglement communicator, he explained as his team set it up in the colony's communications center. It creates a direct link to a paired device on Earth, allowing instantaneous communication regardless of distance. How is that possible? Harin asked, examining the device with professional interest. Quantum particles that remain connected no matter how far apart they are, the engineer explained. When you change the state of one, the other changes instantly. We've harnessed that for communication. And this will let us talk to Earth? Right now? Quan asked. Better than that, the engineer smiled. It will let you see Earth right now. When the device was activated, a large holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed a view of Earth from orbit, but not the Earth they remembered. The planet was surrounded by massive structures, space stations, shipyards, and what looked like giant energy collectors. That's Earth now, the engineer said proudly, home to 12 billion humans and the center of a growing interstellar civilization. Harin stared at the image, trying to reconcile this new reality with the Earth she had left behind. It's so different, but still home, Jinha said quietly. The engineer nodded. And now you're connected to it again. This system is being linked to Earth's global network. You'll have access to news, entertainment, personal messages, everything. Can we contact our families? Quan asked hesitantly. Of course, the engineer said. That's the whole point. We've already notified Earth about your rescue. People are waiting to hear from you. One by one, the colonists were shown how to use the new system. Some found joyful reunions with aged parents or grown children. Others discovered that their loved ones had passed away during the long years of separation. Tears of both happiness and grief filled the communications center. Harin waited her turn, her heart pounding. When she finally sat before the communication terminal, she hesitated before entering her parents' contact information. What would they look like now? Would they even recognize her? The screen flickered, and then 2 elderly faces appeared. Her mother and father, now in their 90s but very much alive. They stared at her in wonder. Harin? Her mother whispered. Is it really you? It's me, Mother, Harin said, tears streaming down her face. I'm safe. We're all safe now. As reunions continued throughout the colony, Jinha stood with Jake, watching the emotional scenes unfold. This is what makes humans different, isn't it? Jinha asked. Not just the technology, but the connections we maintain across time and space. Jake nodded. That's what the Keldari don't understand about us. They see our colonies as isolated outposts. They don't realize that every human settlement, no matter how distant, is still part of one family. A family that comes when called, Jinha said, thinking of the Retribution stepping out of the darkness when all hope seemed lost. Always, Jake confirmed. That's the promise humanity makes to itself. No one gets left behind. 3 days after the Retribution's arrival, the colony had transformed. Earth technicians worked alongside colonists to install new defense systems, improved living quarters, and advanced mining equipment. The shield generators that had barely held against the Keldari attack were replaced with technology that made them 10 times stronger. Harin spent most of her time learning about the new systems. As the colony's lead engineer, she needed to understand how everything worked. The Earth engineers were patient teachers, but the technology was so advanced it sometimes felt like magic. Don't worry, one of them told her when she expressed frustration. You're picking this up faster than most. Remember, we've had decades to get used to these advances. You're seeing them all at once. Jinha focused on security upgrades. The colony now had its own defensive weapons, not just the asteroid-deflecting turrets they'd had before, but actual military-grade systems that could repel another attack if needed. Though that's unlikely, Jake assured him as they inspected the new perimeter defenses. After what happened here, the Keldari won't be testing Earth's borders again anytime soon. Quan had perhaps the biggest adjustment. The new communication system meant his job had completely changed. Instead of sending messages that would take years to reach Earth, he now managed instant communications with dozens of other colonies and Earth itself. It's like going from sending letters by horse to having video calls, he said during dinner one evening. I keep expecting delays that don't exist anymore. On the fourth day, Commander Rex returned to the colony. This time he brought Admiral Sarah with him. The colonists gathered in the main hall to hear what they had to say. Admiral Sarah stepped forward first. She was shorter than Rex but carried herself with unmistakable authority. Her uniform bore more decorations and her eyes missed nothing as she surveyed the room. Citizens of Proxima B, she began, her voice clear and strong. First, let me officially welcome you back into the embrace of Earth's protection. What you endured here, 17 days of constant attack with outdated equipment and minimal defenses, speaks to the courage and determination that defines humanity. She paused, looking around the room. The Keldari Dominion has formally withdrawn all claims to this system. They have agreed to recognize Proxima B as Earth territory and have promised reparations for the damage caused to your colony. A cheer went up from the gathered colonists. After everything they had suffered, this news felt like true victory. However, Sarah continued when the noise died down, this incident has made one thing clear. The outer colonies can no longer exist as they once did, isolated outposts with minimal protection and outdated technology. Commander Rex stepped forward. What Admiral Sarah means is that your colony and others like it will be receiving significant upgrades. Not just in defense, but in every aspect of colonial life. What kind of upgrades? Jinha asked. For starters, a permanent military presence, Rex replied. A small Earth fleet station will be established in orbit. Nothing as large as the Retribution, but enough to ensure no one threatens this colony again. Additionally, Sarah added, regular supply ships using fold drive technology will connect you directly to Earth's economy. No more waiting years for basic necessities or equipment. Harin raised her hand. What about our mining operations? That's why we're here. Sarah nodded. Your mining work is more important than ever. The elements you extract are crucial components in our new drive systems and weapons technology, but you'll be doing it with better equipment and better compensation. The meeting continued as Rex and Sarah outlined the changes coming to the colony. By the time they finished, it was clear that life on Proxima B would never be the same. The isolated outpost was becoming an integral part of humanity's interstellar civilization. After the meeting, Rex asked Jinha, Harin, and Quan to join him and Sarah in the colony's observation dome. Night had fallen, and the stars shone brightly above them. The Retribution was visible as a dark shape against the star field, its running lights glowing softly. There's something else we wanted to discuss with you three specifically, Rex said when they were alone. Something not ready for public announcement yet. What is it? Jinha asked. Sarah looked at each of them carefully before speaking. Earth Fleet is establishing a new program. We're calling it the Colonial Integration Initiative. Its purpose is to bring outer colonists like yourselves into modern Earth society, not by bringing you back to Earth, but by sending you to other colonies. I don't understand, Quan said. You want us to leave Proxima B? Not all of you, Rex clarified. But we need people who understand both worlds, the isolation of the outer colonies and the technology of modern Earth. People who can help bridge that gap. And you think we're those people? Harin asked. Sarah nodded. You three specifically. You held this colony together during the attack. You adapted quickly to our technology. You have the right mindset. Jinha looked thoughtful. What exactly would we be doing? You would be trained on Earth for 6 months, Rex explained, then assigned to other outer colonies as integration specialists. Your job would be to help those colonies adapt to the new technology and defenses we're providing. It's a chance to help others like yourselves. Sarah added. People who have been isolated, who might face threats similar to what you faced here. The three colonists exchanged glances. The offer was unexpected but intriguing. Can we have some time to think about it? Jinha asked. Of course, Rex said. We'll be here for 3 more days. You can give us your answer before we leave. After Rex and Sarah departed, Jinha, Harin, and Quan remained in the observation dome, looking up at the stars. What do you think? Quan asked finally. I think it's a good opportunity, Jinha said. A chance to see more of what humanity has become. Harin nodded slowly. And to help others. I keep thinking about how we felt when the Keldari attacked. How alone we were. If we can prevent others from feeling that way. But this is our home, Quan said, gesturing around them. We built this colony. We defended it. And now it's safe, Jinha pointed out. With the new defenses and the Earth Fleet Station, Proxima B won't need us specifically anymore. They talked late into the night, weighing the decision before them. By morning, they had made their choice. 2 days later, they stood before Commander Rex and Admiral Sarah in the Retribution's conference room. The ship was even more impressive from the inside, sleek, efficient, and humming with power beyond anything they had imagined possible. We've decided to accept your offer, Jinha said, speaking for all three. We want to help other colonies make this transition. Rex smiled. I'm glad to hear it. You'll be valuable additions to the program. But I have a question, Harin said. Why us? Why humans at all? With your technology, couldn't you build machines to do this work? Sarah and Rex exchanged a meaningful look. We could, Sarah acknowledged. But that's not who we are. That's not what makes humanity special. Rex stepped to the viewport, gesturing at the stars. When we first ventured into space, we thought technology would be our greatest advantage. Better ships, better weapons, better computers. But we've learned that's not true. What is then? Quan asked. Fire, Rex said simply. Not literal fire, but what it represents. The spark inside every human that drives us forward. The determination to survive against impossible odds. The refusal to abandon our own. He turned back to face them. The Keldari have better natural weapons than us. The Mariaks have better natural armor. The Voth can live in environments that would kill a human in seconds, but none of them have our fire. When the Keldari surrounded your colony, Sarah continued, they thought they understood humans based on your technology, your biology. What they failed to grasp was your determination. Other species evolved toward stability, Rex added, toward equilibrium with their environments. Humanity evolved to adapt, to overcome, to transform both ourselves and everything around us. He gestured around the advanced ship. This technology isn't what makes us strong. It's just a tool created by our real strength, our unwillingness to accept defeat. Harin thought about the 17 days they had spent fighting to survive, refusing to surrender even when hope seemed lost. That's why we need humans for this work, Sarah concluded, because only humans can truly understand and share that fire with others. Jinha nodded slowly. When the Retribution appeared above our colony, it wasn't just a ship coming to save us. It was a promise. Exactly, Rex said with approval. A promise humanity makes to itself we will endure. We will overcome. And we will never, ever abandon our own. As they prepared to return to the colony to make their final arrangements, Harin paused at the viewport for one last look at the stars. She thought about the journey ahead, learning Earth's new technologies, visiting distant colonies, helping others bridge the gap between isolation and connection. The galaxy had seemed so dark and threatening just days ago. Now it was full of possibility, not because the danger was gone, but because humanity had proven itself equal to that danger. Because when they had called for help, thinking no one would hear, a human warship had stepped out of the blackness. That was the fire Commander Rex spoke of. The fire that had driven humans from caves to stars. The fire that turned survivors into conquerors. The fire that made a single species from a single planet believe it could face a universe of impossibilities and win.